bedroom wall. One step ahead of the pack of Marlboros. Still I don't believe he would take that far.
As the summer inches closer, students at Glen Este are beginning to count down the days until school is out, waiting for that first day of freedom. This year, our very own Mr. Ashworth will be joining the ranks as he looks forward to his retirement. After 29 years of being our fearless leader, he is ready to take on those golf courses. Mr. Ashworth, this is our tribute to you.
Well, we started the same year, so we were rookies together. My first impression of him, you could tell he was from Kentucky. A little bit, here I am, I'm the football coach.
When I first met Mr. Ashworth, he's pretty much exactly like he is now. He would tell you what he thought, he'd do exactly what he said, and he expected you to, you know, follow suit if you were working with him. I coached with him for a while, so he's really not changed much at all.
My first impression of him, he was really intimidating. You know, he has that deep, loud voice.
First thing I thought to myself is, this man means business.
He taught history, so he was boring, but he was, everything in his room ran the way it does in this building. He was very much the same teacher as he is a principal.
One thing that stood out to me was when it was like the first day of school and he was going over classroom rules, and I remember him giving us a hard time about going to the bathroom and saying, girls, I don't care what time of the month it is for you, I have a wife, I'm not buying it, nobody's leaving, and so no one ever even asked to go to the bathroom or go anywhere because you just knew he was not going to let you go. So he's very intimidating, but I'm sure I learned a lot when I was there.
What I remember about being a student teacher was that he gave me a lot of room in the classroom to discover who I was. He also gave me a lot of opportunity to observe other teachers, and he just didn't unload his teaching schedule onto me. He guided me in the whole 6-month process. It really helped develop the teaching style that I have today.
So my first impression was coming right out of school. Mind you, I wasn't young, I was in my early 40s, but I'm brand new, I don't know anybody, and it's the first 3 days of school when the kids aren't here and we're in teacher training. We were at a meeting room off campus, and so I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I don't know anybody, and I'm looking around, and I see this burly guy in the back of the room, and he's cracking his knuckles, and to me, he looks like Guido the bouncer, which was like a little surprising to me that you'd be here with a group of teachers. You don't expect to need a bouncer. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, who is this guy? And it turns out that's Dennis Ashworth.
He's very different than what people think he is. They don't really realize how much he does behind the scenes.
I've caught his act of screaming and yelling, but I've caught his act too of having a heart that where he can talk to kids and try to help them get through this school.
A lot of people have a misconception, absolutely, that there isn't a very nice and kind side to him and a very caring side, because there is. I have seen Mr. Ashworth discipline a student, but also at the same time, he has talked to them just like they were one of his own children.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think he is so intimidating, and some kids I went to school with, they thought he wasn't fair, and I never saw that. I mean, when I first met him, he was intimidating, but as I kept going through my high school career, he's like a teddy bear. You know, he doesn't want anyone to know that, but he is. He's a really great guy, and he'd help any kid in this school.
I think he's done a lot for the school. If Mr. Ashworth wasn't our principal, I don't think that small schools would look anything like they look now. He's done a great job as far as being organized, making sure that teachers are organized as well, and without him, I don't think we'd be where we're at.
I just think like him being here every day, like expecting stuff from us, influences you to like be the best you can be.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a good principal. It's a hard job running Glen Este, so I mean, I think he's doing a really good job for having students like that are late to school every day and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it has to be a stressful job. He's not a mean person. Everyone thinks that he is.
I tend to think of him as having a leadership style similar to the football coach, which he was.
He brings a whole lot of that football mentality to his job at principal. That's just him. That's his personality.
I think what he put on the football field, he brought into this building.
The number of fights have decreased big time since he has become principal. I'm sure the discipline problems that we have now are not nearly as severe as they were before he was principal, and I know that for a fact. I think he's done a good job of making Glen Este High School an excellent school. He's definitely led us in that direction and has allowed us to obtain that rating.
There's a lot of great things that he will be remembered for. The development of small schools, I think he was pivotal in that. He was also passionate about the 9th grade academy, being a transition. That's really a program that as a sophomore teacher I see that is effective in helping them get organized and acclimated in the expectations. I also think that the hiring of the teachers that he actually hired the last 8 or 9 years are great teachers, and he had an exceptional eye for hiring good teachers.
He did influence me. When I came, we had first started small schools, so not a lot of kids liked them that had experienced traditional high school. So since I love them so much, I actually got the leadership opportunity to go and talk to people about small schools and how much I enjoyed them and the benefits of them. And he really showed me how to be a leader, and I got to talk to these people about the things that I believe in, and I've continued to do that the rest of my life.
You know, obviously he's been my mentor for the last 22 years. I can't tell you, I think I learned more football the first year I coached here than the 8 or 10 that I previously had played before that. And then, if you come and watch what we do, today, a lot of the stuff that we do at Glen Este today is stuff that I got from Dennis and from Mr. Ashworth and from Ron Woyan, who was a longtime coach here. They both have a great influence on me, and I feel like, a lot of the success that we have today at Glen Este is attributed to both those guys.
Just new techniques on how to run a play and how to do my feet work to get my footwork better because I'm slow, so he helps me with that.
I think Mr. Ashworth is a great principal because in preparation for huge school functions, he finds every and any possible way to keep the students safe.
He has strict rules and he really uses them, and even if you are a good student or a bad student, if you mess up, he follows through with what he says, and he has given us the opportunity to exempt all of our exams, which is awesome.
He was a good principal because he was really strict and he got down to business, and I really won't miss the strictness.
There's one thing nobody can deny, that he is totally devoted and he puts 110% into it. His energy is always focused on Glen Este High School.
I think he's a good principal because he cares about this place. There are principals who use this as a stepping stone, but this was his life. He spent more than half of his life here, and I think when you're here or when you're with someone or with a building or with a situation that long, that you're naturally going to have a deep love for that place. And I think he has that, and I think it's really hard on him to leave now.
I hope when our new principal comes in that they're just as caring as Mr. Ashworth, and they want to really make the school the best they can be, even though they came from another school and everything, and they'll really want this to be their school.
I think if I was here next year, it would be weird having a different principal, not knowing, we kind of know what to expect out of Mr. Ashworth otherwise, other than another principal.
Mr. Ashworth likes things very neat, very orderly, very clean. On top of his desk, he has glass. And so that's kind of a daily thing with the students and the teachers and maybe parents who come in. The glass tends to get fingerprints on it. We decided we would take the glass off because there were fingerprints underneath. So we took the glass off the top of his desk, and he's standing there holding it, and I am crawling around on my hands and knees, spraying and cleaning it, and the superintendent walks in.
One year, 6th period, I had to use his room for my classroom. So he always had notes on the board, so I had about a 2x2 area in my chalkboard that I could write notes, which was fine. Anyway, the next morning, he comes to my classroom and he goes, "Do you have my red pen?" I said, "I don't know if I've got your red pen." And so I looked through my purse and I had 4 red pens, and I go, "Well, here, take one." He looks at each one and analyzes them. And he goes, "These aren't it." I said, "How can you tell?" He goes, "These are medium points, and I have a fine point pen." I said, "Well, they're Bics." I said, "You want me to go out and buy you a 25-cent red pen?" "I will." He goes, "No," and then he storms out because he was so neat and orderly. Did I take his pen? Maybe. I don't think so, because it would have been in my purse. But if I did, Dennis, I'm sorry. I will buy you a red pen.
I think the most fun memory was my senior prom. All of my best friends and I, we took a picture with him at prom, and he had it on his desk, at least when I graduated, which he better still have it.
I had to get a guest form approved, and he called me into his office because the person that I have going with me is going to be 21 in September. So he called me in because you can't be 20 or you can't be 21 to go to prom. And I got really nervous, and I was sitting in his office like shaking, like my voice was cracking, as I was terrified that he was going to tell me that he wasn't going to be allowed to go with me. But it all worked out, and he laughed at me because I was so scared.
The only thing that comes to my mind was when we were running the Saturday Academy. It was like one of the first years we were running it. And at the Saturday Academy, we were able to serve breakfast to the students. And I can remember I was in charge of bringing breakfast and getting breakfast food together for that. And I had bought a coffee maker because several students and teachers were wanting coffee in the morning. So I brought this brand new coffee maker, and I had just bought it. Mr. Ashworth went to get it out of the box for me, and he dropped it, and it shattered on the floor, which that was kind of funny. But the funnier thing, I think, was that he felt so bad about it, he was going to try to return it broken, which I'm pretty sure they didn't take it back.
Every time we go golfing, it's hilarious because he is a very good golfer and very serious about his golf. I am not. And we were at one outing. We actually won a couple $100. It actually was like a significant amount of money. But he had thrown the scorecard in the dumpster. So if you could picture me dumpster diving and Mr. Ashworth having me by the ankles as I'm down in the dumpster trying to get the scorecard out, we retrieved the scorecard and got the money. But that was pretty funny.